Okay, for some reason it won't let us stream to workplace, but that's all right. I'll add to that later. So let's move that. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm okay. The sun's shining in Cape Town, so that's always good. Been a busy morning, but I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm all right. End of the month, stressed, finances, and I'm going to be able to keep it all together. Yeah, the usual 20-year start. The 20-year startup nightmare.
It's a familiar story to many people, eh? Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming on. What I'd like you to do is, first of all, introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are personally, and then what your role is within GWEN, and yeah, how we're structured.
Sure. Oh gosh. Okay. Tell me when I'm rambling too much, and I'll cut it short. So I'm Bruce Greater. I live in Cape Town, but I spend a lot of time in the UK also. So I kind of suppose, yeah. Where do I live? Probably a bit of both. My background is as an accountant, as a chartered accountant. I've worked in the financial services industry most of my life, nearly 30 years. In fact, probably a bit more than 30, actually. Gosh, am I that old? Yeah, for about 30 years, I've worked in the financial services industry. I trained as an accountant, mostly in the investment field, and then increasingly in the governance field, kind of ensuring that companies behave themselves. It's not only individuals that are crooks and do naughty things, companies do that also. So as an investor, it's important that one knows that the companies one's investing in are responsible citizens. So increasingly, a lot of my work moved away from looking at how profitable companies were to whether they were good and responsible companies to invest money into. So that's really kind of my interest, is kind of around governance and risk management and making sure that when people invest into a business, they're not going to get shafted. So it's a kind of understanding the governance, understanding companies comply with rules and regulations and legislation and do the appropriate things, look after the environment, kind of look after the broader society. Sounds all very sort of motherhood and apple pie, but those are essential kind of things to ensure that companies maintain themselves in a responsible way for the long term, as opposed to cut corners and take shortcuts. So yeah, that's the kind of summary of what I do. Is I kind of work with companies to ensure that they manage themselves well. Really look after their staff, look after their shareholders, look after other stakeholders, and do so in a responsible manner. So that's kind of my background. I got involved with GWEN about, was it 2 years ago, David? Maybe longer, I don't know. I can't remember. Let's call it 2 years. I mean, I can look it up and see that there's a momentous photo that you and I took holding the certificate of incorporation of GWEN when we formed GWEN as a UK limited company. So GWEN is the short name for the Global Wellness Education Network Limited. And just to sort of spell that out, we are a global company. We work in the UK, in South Africa. We have a presence in the USA. We do some work in Australia. Previously, we've also worked, or David's worked in New Zealand and Hong Kong. So we have very much a global presence. Our biggest presences at the moment are South Africa, the US, and the UK, and Australia. So we're global. We're focused on wellness, helping people support themselves to develop a culture of wellness by educating them. We kind of coach people. David, you'll know more about this, but I'm just kind of sort of explaining the name. a network. We have a collaborative approach to everything we do. So that's how the name was formed. So it's Global Wellness Education Network. So David and I co-founded it. David's a majority shareholder. I'm a smaller shareholder. We're directors in the company. There are other people who have an interest in the company, and that's who GWEN is.
What's the advantage of having a UK listed company?
So we're not a listed company in the sense that we're not listed on the stock exchange.
Limited. Sorry, limited.
Yeah. So we're a UK limited company incorporated in the UK. The advantages to that is that we do a lot of work with the NHS, for example, in the UK. It just builds credibility that we have a local presence in the UK. So there's some credibility attached to being a global company. It just opens more doors than perhaps a South African company would in our global businesses. So yeah, that's
why.
I suppose some kind of sort of outdated historic thinking in a lot of people's mindsets that kind of the UK is better than an emerging market. A presence in the market in which you operate is better. I'm not really sure, David. It's just, I don't know, just with the NHS, they seem to be happier to deal with a UK company that can bill in pounds and has a UK bank account. There seems to be a sort of better credibility, if I can put it that way. They understand it better. And the same with the kind of people in the US. They understand a UK company better than they do a South African company. And the same with our partners in Australia. There's, for some reason, it's, an ability to present ourselves as a global company based out of the UK somehow just opens doors. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is in the world. That's just. Have I got it wrong, David? I mean, is that been our experience?
No, you're absolutely right. So here we are earning rents, ZAR. Yeah, and then there's that because we're seen as a third world country, there's a lot of volatility in our currency. So as an established UK company, even though we're a South African product, being distributed out of the UK brings sterling credibility, and we have access to first world markets via this UK company. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. Even though most of the IP, the intellectual property,
all the intellectual property was developed in South Africa.
Okay.
And is kind of leading edge stuff. I mean, for me, it doesn't have a background in this. Just when I started the journey of getting involved with GWEN, I obviously kind of looked hard at kind of what exactly was it? What exactly is the offering? I was amazed at how forward-thinking this is relative to so much of the other stuff that's happening globally, which is why I got involved. I really, really value the intellectual property and all the experience that's gone into developing the service that we now offer. It's incredible. There's nothing like it, which is why organizations like the NHS in England are reaching out for this intellectual property and this expertise. And the same with Australia. They're reaching out because they see something that's better than many other things out there.
Let's just, before people seem to get misrepresented in some sort of way, what we do is we work with a charity in the UK called Recovery Connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which are part of CGL. CGL, Community Grow Live, which is part of which is a charity, which takes people with lived experience, trains them up so they can then go off and work in their communities. In the US, we've got Pocket Rehab. Yeah, which is Damien's app, which is a HIPAA-compliant, anonymous peer support network where people help each other. And then in Australia, we've got Calm Lion, yeah, which is a much more of a medical approach, a much more of a professional approach to pain management and to treatment. So there's much more of a medical model here. Here is a peer support model, and here is a charity community-based model. Yeah, and if you look at the structure of the world, there's the NHS model here. There's I guess Australia's type of NHS as well, isn't it?
So initially, yes, yes.
Yeah, and the States is a private model that went very well under Obamacare, and then that changed, and then that's kind of coming back. All right. But most of but our IP does come from South Africa, yeah. But there's a third world stigma on why would we want anything from Africa? What do they know in Africa? When actually medically and there's a lot of resourcefulness and creativity that comes out of Africa for that.
Great.
Cool. All right. So back to you.
What else? Kind of. So maybe I'm talking about my role at GWEN. So essentially, it's kind of looking after looking after the finances. So putting in place the financial structures, what we need to do around money, and then also kind of sort of align to that some of the admin. So kind of finance and a little bit of admin. So I really look after the flow of money into and out of the organization. So as we do work for clients, we bill that, and we do that across a number of ways, a number of platforms. It's not just send us an old-fashioned check in the post and we'll put it into our bank account. It's kind of PayPal and all sorts of online credit card payment processing systems that we have in place. And then it's obviously also paying kind of expenses in a similar way. So we've set up that so it can be essentially run virtually. We don't have staff sitting in a big kind of finance department in an office somewhere in an office park. It's really, we can do that from anywhere in the world. So as long as we have a laptop and an internet connection, we can run our finance department from wherever. And we run it light and lean. We don't have a lot of people doing that. It's really just invest in the technology, put the technology in place, and then that'll kind of automate the process as much as possible. And that's really been our sort of philosophy is use forward-thinking technology as opposed to kind of having lots of people sitting kind of working with bits of paper that need to go into a file, that needs to go into a cupboard, etc. So yeah, that's the kind of thinking around the finances is use technology, do it as virtually as possible, and automate it as much as possible.
All right. Tell me, what's the problem with PayPal and South African bank accounts?
So it's kind of more around kind of foreign exchange issues and foreign exchange control issues. Our clients like to be billed in the currencies in which they operate. So the people we work with in Australia like to pay and charge, obviously, in Australian dollars. The UK, they charge and like to pay in pounds. So it's easier as a multi-currency company to operate kind of, for example, a PayPal account that's based in the UK. So we're not doing anything illegal or inappropriate or kind of underhand at all. It's all completely legitimate, but it's easier running a multi-currency business out of the UK rather than South Africa.
Okay. So my sense is it's the banking regulations. I seem to, the South African banking regulations seem to be very tight and strict, and it's very difficult to transact. So just for example,
foreign currencies, it's a lot more administratively burdensome than elsewhere in the world. It's getting easier. It's becoming easier, but it's still, there's forms to fill in and forms to fill in if you want to make foreign payments, if you kind of want to receive money into South Africa. Administratively, there's more to do. Which is fine if you're having nice chunky money coming in, but you've got lots of small little transactions that almost kind of becomes too burdensome and too difficult. Yeah.
Well, it's such a pain in the ass to try and track as well. Yeah. So we've got the PayPal stuff, which comes into our payment gateway. Then we've also got the teachable stuff where the transaction happens here. So we can get income and refunds quite. Whoops, let me just do refunds here. Yeah. So for example, we had sign on from Holland. They did the training, and then they changed their mind, and then it was very easy to refund them because we could just go onto this platform and then issue the refund. Yeah?
Correct.
As opposed to do it from here, which is a nightmare. Yeah. What this does make it difficult for is our local students here. Yeah. Yeah, which we run through the UX Trust. I don't know if you can see that.
So at the top of the screen. Yeah, and there we go. Yeah, it is a little bit more difficult, but with technology and everything that's happening online, I think South Africans are getting more used to being billed, particularly for sort of online stuff in sort of foreign currencies. So, for example, if you want to sign up for a Dropbox account and buy more storage, inevitably you pay in dollars. If your Microsoft subscription, that might be in rand, but I mean there are other things where the charge a lot of the software I buy online is dollar charge. So I think South Africans are getting more used to buying from global businesses that charge in kind of pounds or inevitably in dollars, as opposed to South African rand for some things. Obviously, if you go to the local supermarket and buy your groceries, you're not going to be expecting to pay in dollars or pounds or euros. But certainly online, I think there's more awareness that things are inevitably charged in dollars or euros. But you're right, it does difficulty. If people don't have credit cards, it's difficult to make these foreign payments, and that excludes a lot of the South African population, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, that's why we do that over here through the trust. Tell me, if you were to set somebody up as an affiliate, so we need 12 people in a class, and if somebody was to get 12 people on a class, well, say there's 10 people and 2 facilitators. There's a facilitator, a co-facilitator, and the 10 students. And that affiliate went and sold those 10 places for a commission. How would we pay that person if they were in South Africa?
We'd probably pay them through the UAC trust, because they'd want to be paid in Rand. We'd probably pay that Rand. I mean, if they had a PayPal account, we would pay them by PayPal. You know, we would be accommodating of whatever it's easiest for somebody to how they want it. I suppose we could even, you know, do it in a slightly old-fashioned way, not by writing a check, but kind of doing an EFT. So it really would depend on what they want.
All right. So in theory, yeah, we could pay someone here locally in Rands for this trust and do a transfer from here to that.
Correct.
That's kosher. That's above board. That
absolutely.
Yeah. So we could do a monthly transaction of an amount of money and then distribute it out of the trust there. As long as it was all right with the board of trustees there, that would be fine. So how would someone then go and issue their tax? Can you see that?
So just before we get to the tax, if I can just dial back, I mean, if there's a lot more South Africans doing this and we're paying a sort of affiliate fees or commission to a lot of South Africans, we would look at setting up a structure in South Africa that makes it easier to do that directly. But we're not there yet. So in terms of paying tax, we obviously, as a UK company, pay tax in the UK. On our South African operations, if we make any money here, we'd be, you know, paying our tax here. And the same applies for anybody in South Africa who would be getting a commission or a kind of facilitator's fee or a kind of affiliate fee. They would receive income in South Africa and they would be obliged to declare that as part of their tax return.
So the onus then?
Well, I mean, if they're an employee of ours, then we would have an onus to deduct tax and pay it over to SARS. But we don't have any kind of dedicated employees at this stage in South Africa. So we tend to have kind of contractors who work for multiple people. You know, they do work for a large number of clients and also us. So within the kind of contracting tax regime, they're not regarded as employees of us, so the obligation is not on us to deduct the tax that they need to pay. If they were employees of ours, absolutely we would need to do that. But the obligation is on them to declare their income properly to the tax authorities.
All right. So our USA offering is 249 US, yeah? And then the Australian one, which is 1,999 US. Yeah. And this one is because it's aimed at a more professional market. Yeah. So this is a certified peer recovery specialist, and this is the peer recovery specialist. So this is ideally for somebody that's got lived experience of some sort that they want to then educate and turn into a career. And then if they wanted to move on, they would move on to this. This is aimed at people who are already professionals that want to bring recovery wellness into their workplace environment, their office, their practice, whatever it is. So there are different levels. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't want to this is the first year sort of thing, and then this is third year where you where you can enter life with prior learning experience. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All right. Okay.
And there's
So
obviously there's far more mentoring and kind of review that happens with the kind of professional level as opposed to the kind of support level.
Say that again.
So I'm saying, obviously, with the kind of professional level, the kind of $2,000, if I can call it that, it's a far greater experience that you immerse yourself in. It takes longer. There's more content. There's more review. There's kind of more mentoring as you journey through that the process. Whereas the other is a sort of more of a support level for people who perhaps want to support friends, family members, kind of, it might be a church group who kind of wants to send some people. They're not professional psychologists or social workers or working in a professional rehabilitation facility, for example.
Yeah, HR practitioners.
Correct.
So, and I just want to talk about accreditation. Yeah. So all our training is ISO 17024 compliance.
Just explain that, David. I mean, obviously I know what it is, but I mean, it's a very technical term.
Okay, so ISO means International Standard of Operations.
Right.
It comes from Switzerland, yeah, and you'll see ISO written on everything, yeah, and basically our school and our coursework and the way that we certify students, test them, the practicums they do, the recordings, our platforms, our record keeping, our invoicing, our refund policies, all that sort of stuff is at an international compliance. So what that basically does is gives us accreditation. So people, once they've done our training, they can then go off to the International Coaching Register, which is a separate organization. They can take our certificate and a letter from us, and then they say, "Oi, did this person go through your organization?" We can say yes, and then that person can be approved to work there. Now we've got 3 schools. We've got one in South Africa, one in the UK, and one in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the USA is that's that's a different. Well, I mean the ISO compliance is relevant there, but they have all sorts of federal law, and each state is completely different, and so it's not as
it makes it administratively kind of a nightmare to set up, actually.
Well, the bureaucracy is So, for example, we've been POPI compliant for years, protection of private information, yeah? Whereas the USA, that's only coming into place. But we've been HIPAA compliant, which is the protection of private medical records, for a long time, which Damien put together. Yeah.
Correct.
It's quite complicated when we look at it, huh?
It is, but we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort kind of setting it up so that it works. So, you know, when we accredit a student, they know that it's a legitimate accreditation. It's not some fly-by-night thing, that they've been through a robust process. I mean, you know, I've sat in on kind of panels where we assess people. It's as you have a lot more. You know, it's a robust process. This is not, you know, we want people to go out and be highly qualified and to do a great job with this work. It means, you know, investing and ensuring that they meet globally high standards.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a whole other discussion, but based on the U.S. Surgeon General's report on the addiction crisis in the USA and America in 2016, and there's loads and loads. In fact, there's something like 473 different research articles that put forward the case. This is to address the opioid pandemic that they had there. For each dollar you spend on this, you save $7 on the criminal justice system and $3 on the healthcare system. So what I don't understand is why more money isn't being invested into this sort of prevention and also supporting people in finding the solution. Yeah. Yeah, that's another story.
Sure, it's a massive story. It's really around kind of awareness or lack of awareness, where people have an attitude that there's something wrong with you if you have an addiction issue in your life, or you should go to jail. You know, but as you say, it's financially stupid, societally stupid, but that awareness is growing, but it's not there. It's not where it should be yet.
Well, it's the stigma of it all.
Exactly.
You know, and we live in a culture of addiction globally. But I'm hoping with the pandemic, the world understands what a pandemic is now, and they understand that telemedical stuff works. Like me and you talking through video, we can actually have a consultation that can assist you in finding resources to change your behavior, you know. The biopsychosocial, yeah, so you can change your biology, you can change your psychology, and the way that you socialize with people to educate yourself so you can come out of the stigma and to start to move towards a weller individual, which will create weller families and communities and societies. So that's what my hope is. All right. Okay. So put your finance hat back on, and put your hat on that works in insurance and mitigating risk. What do we need to do? What do I need to do? What needs to happen? What's our next step?
So I think we manage the risk quite well. I mean, we manage the risk by, you know, as you say, we've been through all the accreditation. The intellectual property is robust. We don't take chances. We don't take chances with other people's lives at all. We are cautious in our approach. We're thorough. So in that sense, we manage the risks quite well. We don't do anything illegal or inappropriate. We comply. What else am I trying to say, David?
Well, I mean, one thing is people mustn't see this as a replacement treatment. If anything, this is treatment and reduces treatment outcomes and makes treatment more effective to more people, because the medical profession are under so much pressure already to address psychological issues, when actually they're physical ailments that need to be kind of, yeah, okay, and now go and see somebody, yeah, that hasn't got a pathology. So they'll see a doctor, they'll see a social worker, they'll see a therapist, and a coach will help manage the whole. It's like the coach on the side of a soccer field managing the whole team. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're not saying we want to step in instead of. We're here in addition to, as you say, kind of.
It's supporting of.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you need a psychiatrist, yes. If you need a psychologist, yes. If you need a social worker, yes. If you need some time in a facility, yes. How do we support the family in all of this? Because you don't see psychologists or psychiatrists very often, and I'm not trying to dismiss them at all. A psychiatrist treats one patient, doesn't treat the family. And our thinking is supportive of how.
And also there's the client-patient confidentiality.
Exactly.
So the therapist is bound by their ethics, but whereas a coach works with the system. So
Correct.
In business coaching, I'll go and coach a CEO, and I'll work with how their behavior is impacting the system, how he's fulfilling his role or her role, and how that role is functioning within the system, and what the system is asking for from the coach.
Correct. Exactly. So it's the same in the family or the workplace, where there's somebody who's struggling with some addiction issues. It's a similar thing. It's not, you don't work in isolation with them. Work with the system around them, with the family, the kind of work environment, whatever else it is.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm feeling a bit talked out. I find when I talk on these things, my voice heightens and I'm like, it becomes training. I really appreciate your.
I can see the passion. I mean, I know how important this is to you. So it's wonderful to kind of be able to work with you in this environment. Kind of does look complicated looking at on that kind of screen behind you, but it works. It works.
Well, it works beautifully. Now what we've got to do is just try, and it offers immense value as well. Obviously I say that and I'm biased, but in comparison to other trainings out there and other offerings, if anything, we undersell ourselves. And then people think, well, all that for that little. No, there must be a catch somewhere. So that's a marketing. What's the word I'm looking for? Foobar on my side, because I get so excited about it.
Yeah.
What have you learned from Bruce? What are you taking away from this call?
What am I taking away? I'm taking away that we've actually done a lot of hard work behind the scenes to set this up. I'm taking that away. I'm taking away that there's a wonderful, I really value, we haven't spoken much about the courses and stuff, but I know that they're incredible, and I'm kind of looking there and thinking, how do we persuade more people of the merits of this sort of work, as you say, because the more you spend on this, the more you save elsewhere in a broader economy. So, from a government perspective, a corporate employer perspective, spending money on this is actually a wise investment. And I don't think we've yet got that message out. So I'm taking away, how do we just raise the profile of this? How do we get the message out? How do we get more people to be exposed to this sort of thinking? And then I'm taking away the fact that I think we've set things up really well. It's kind of, it's been hard work, and now we need to kind of drive this forward. That's what I'm taking away.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bureaucracy is such a slow. I mean, it kills me every time. Just accreditation took 3 years. Setting up this company and getting that in place took what? How long we been? It'll be 2 years in May. Yeah, to set that up. I mean, it's all very well going to the company's house and filling out a piece of paper, but
that's the bank account.
Setting up
bank account and proving that you're not kind of a money launderer to a bank, setting up, all this sort of bureaucracy of all these things is kind of, but we've gone through a lot of that now. So now it's the time, to drive it forward.
Well, let alone companies in Australia and America as well. Those are also and then it's websites, and it's copy, and it's content, and it's people arguing amongst themselves. And God, David, what are you doing? You're mad. You're bipolar. I'm not bipolar. I've just got a big picture.
I'm just passionate. I'm not bipolar. I'm passionate. That's what you should be telling them, David.
They do. They don't listen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce, thank you so much for your time. And I know you've invested in this, and it really has been a passion project of yours. Hopefully now we can start to get a return.
Let's hope so. I'm confident. I'm upbeat about it. Thanks. This has been a very interesting session for me. Thanks for inviting me along.
And thanks for putting your face out there, because I mean your name and your reputation is fucking on the internet now.
Oh dear. Yeah. No, I'm cool with that. I believe in this. I'm happy for that.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
Thanks.
Lots of love. I check out with joy.
Likewise, me too. Lots of joy. I'm out of that. Thank you.
Oh, hang on. Here we go. We got some messages. Good morning from Wisconsin. Hello, Kim. Sorry, I was at full. Drug education is already being implemented in schools. Many addicts don't want to quit or think they can't. A friend of mine committed suicide because he thought he couldn't quit drinking. I told him there was help. Let's put it up there. Sorry. I told him where there is help and that he can. Many start to escape from reality. Some get addicted because they're prescribed pain medication.
Yes.
Most just like to get high. I quit because the state police gave me a ride home. They needed to make aware that they have a problem. I was 38, quit. Well, that's all we got. But well done, Rosie. Yeah, it's just to respond to that. It's a systemic problem. It impacts everyone. It's progressive, and there's a whole lot more lectures we could do about this. Maybe we should do that another time, where we talk about our schools program, the interventions, and the recovery side of things.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But I'm afraid we've run out of. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you for commenting.
Yeah.
From Wisconsin. What time it is there?
Wow, it must be very early in the morning. 6:30, 5:30 or something. Wow. Wow. Nice. Great.
All right, everyone. Thanks very much.
Thanks, David. Thank you.